Do you guys think Anthony Davis gets enough credit as being one of the best defenders in the NBA? That feels kind of like a weird question to ask, because when you think of Anthony Davis, one of the first things you think about is his defense, and he was also placed on all defensive first team this past season. So like it feels like he's getting his recognition. But then on the other hand, the NBA's annual GM survey came out yesterday, and one of the most notable things of the survey was the GMs were asked, who do you think is the most versatile defender in the NBA? And it wasn't that Anthony Davis didn't win that question. It was Giannis who won that question, followed by OG and Wemby. It's that Anthony Davis wasn't even mentioned. Like the 30 GMs, 30 of the smartest people, in the basketball world, none of them said Anthony Davis was the most versatile defender in the NBA. And it doesn't really, like there's got to be more to it than just like, oh, we don't think he's the most versatile defender in the NBA. Like, I don't really know what it is. And I know he himself has voiced some frustration, feeling he doesn't necessarily get the credit he deserves for being one of the, not just most versatile, but one of the best defenders in the NBA. Specifically, he hasn't won a Defensive Player of the Year award, which I totally get his frustration. And I do think in theory, he does deserve a Defensive Player of the Year award, but like, it's never that simple as like, oh, you're a great defender, you should get an award. Like, it's obviously about like peaks in certain seasons and when it's like your highest peak versus what, like there's just more to it than that. It's kind of like in the MVP, right? Like D Wade's best season also came during like an insane LeBron season. So like, that's why he doesn't have an MVP, even though in theory he is an MVP caliber player. So it's not even that, but like, I don't know, like, it's just like this dude is like, I think we like sort of like let it go by that this dude, he's not just a great defender, he's legitimately one of the greatest defenders of all time. And I think maybe it's the classic case of like, we focus our energy in so many other places. Like with Anthony Davis in particular, it's about his health, it's about his jump shooting. When he was on the Pelicans, it was all about, can he be the best player on a championship team? And then he goes to Lakers, can he be LeBron's co-star? It's just, we focus on all these other topics. And so maybe we sort of let like the greatness of the defense just sort of slip through the cracks. Maybe, or my other theory is that we talk so much about the Lakers and LeBron and everything LeBron does that by the time we get to Anthony Davis, like we just don't have the energy or the desire to praise his defense, because it's like, okay, we talked about the Lakers and everything about them enough. And so maybe that's why his defense also doesn't get the credit it deserves, but like it really should, because he is like, I'm not saying like he is a generational type defender, like a rim protector, someone who got out on the perimeter, who could defend in space, who reads defense. Like he could stay in front of guys. Like he can really just do it all as a defender. So now you want to say Giannis is the most versatile defender? Okay, I'm not going to say you're wrong. Or if you want to pick OG, I mean, Wemby is a bit of a stretch just because he only, is entering his sophomore season. But like Anthony Davis, I think it's the classic case of like, we focus on so much of what he isn't or what we still expect from him, right? We need him to be healthy. We want him to get the jump shot back like he did in 2020. We want him to help the Lakers be legitimate contenders, because like those are the expectations we set for him, that I think naturally we just sort of like don't focus on all the good that he still does. Like last year he averaged 24 and 10, excuse me. He played in 76 games last year, which is the most he's played in ever. Like he played in a career high game last year, and like it just doesn't feel like anyone will even acknowledge that, let alone praise it. And I feel like that's just the case with his defense, which is a shame, because I do think we're going to look back on his defense and be like, wow, like Anthony Davis, like again, we know he's a great defender. If nothing else, you look at his blocks per game and that tells you a bunch. I know blocks obviously isn't the best indicator of defense, but it is still a pretty good indicator, at least of defensive awareness in a sense. But I feel like we're going to look back and be like, wow, this dude was like, not just good like rim protector, but like this dude like blew up so many plays from the other team and can just shut down anyone. Like, but again, like everyone likes to focus, perfect example, like, oh, he can't slow down Nikola Jokic. Okay, nobody can slow down Nikola Jokic. I don't know what you want from him for that. But I definitely understand his frustration, and this GM survey is definitely going to add to it. And so I don't know like if that means he's going to try even harder on defense this year. That would definitely help the Lakers. I don't know if he's ever going to be recognized as Defensive Player of the Year, just because like he's already in his 30s now, and so is he really going to gun for Defensive Player of the Year now? And also like with Wemby existing, like is he going to get it? I don't know, but it's just, I just like, if you undervalue his defense, or you don't necessarily give it the credit it deserves, I do think you should like take a look at some of his defensive clips to just really realize how all time he is at that end before it's too late, before he retires.